Hi guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Ina and today I have a sad case here with me. Unfortunately, these orchids has all the signs that Phalaenopsis usually shows when they are stressed. That is, floppy leaves, wrinkled leaves, but that's not what I came here to talk about. I want to talk to you about what I encountered inside this spot and what I'm gonna do about it. I'm sorry about the outdoor noise. Anyways, in the middle of the day, and London is a pretty noisy city. So, I have this plant for a while. It's one of the polychilous orchids. It's one of these complex polychilous hybrids. Leave the name down below. I forgot the name now, the tag. I bought it with many other Phalaenopsis from Spice Exotic Plants some years ago. The problem is, I've done some mistakes with this plant in the past, so I settled this plant back. And the last time the roots were not being hydrated properly, so the plants started to become completely stressed. I thought that I could lose this plant, then I potted it up again on this dark pot with moss and sphagnum, with moss and bark, and everything was looking like it was doing okay. I noticed that some new roots were sprouting and I'm like, yay, finally this plant will be hydrated. But today I was watering my plants, and I don't know how do you water your plants, but I tend to check my orchids when I'm watering them to see if everything is okay or what's missing. And sometimes I just see some plants needs to have to be immediately repotted or just unpotted and potted back on their pot. Especially when I see there are some dead roots and the potting mix quite good, so I go over, I do it near my shelving. I just unpot the plant, remove the dead roots and pot it back, so I have these out of the way. Especially when I notice that some plants that need they need some rescue at that moment. So I was doing that today, watering my plants, blah, blah, blah. And I came to this one and I'm like, oh, the plants inside the pot, they are actually dead. I can see they are dead. So let me try to. And in my mind was just like, remove, put it back. But then I said, no, I will show them what's happening here. So I have here a very stressed Phalaenopsis. And as I said, I noticed that some of the roots inside the pot were not doing well. So I came, removed from the pot. And I cut all the mushy roots. Do you know that the roots that has the string and you have to remove them? So I did that. However, surprise, surprise, when I looked inside the pot, everything was very moldy. So the bark is moldy, the sphagnum moss is not doing well, and it's not smelling well either. So in this case, I thought that not only it's a good example to show you that when we encounter something like that, probably these roots are dead and they've been dead inside the spot for a while. So organic material can start to decompose and then we have mold. But when the whole mix becomes so old and you can have a funky, strange smell, and on top of that, you see that the roots that were inside the pot were not doing well. They were not branching out. What should I do in this case? I'll have to repot this plant. I will pot in a small pot for now, because I know that the plant will do well there. But what I will try to do is I will try to put the root tips of the orchid here in contact with the new mix. And hopefully they will just grow nicely inside the pot. Here everything is doing so badly that I have to throw everything away. And fingers crossed, this plant will bounce back because I haven't treated it properly, so it can happen. But yeah, I will just show you how I repot it quickly. And I thought it would be a good experience to share and to show you how I tend to attempt to save some of my orchids, but in some cases it's not a very easy and a straight up process. It's not just a case of unpot and pot it back. In this case, I have to do a fully repot, nail mix, slow release fertilizer and all that, so I can save my plant. If I decide to put my plant back on this super old material, probably the roots wouldn't grow inside the potting mix, and even if their area roots survived, would be always harder for me to hydrate my plant. So let's repot this plant and conclude this video very shortly. So I have here everything that I need for this repotting. I will spray hydrogen peroxide on the root system just to avoid more mold inside my pot, but usually Phalaenopsis are quite good with pests and stuff like that. In terms of having pests inside the pot, it doesn't happen much. But there we go. I sprayed hydrogen peroxide here 3%. So I will let it diffuse a little bit. On top of that, I'll just use this small pot. And what I will do with that, I will repot as I repot all of my orchids. So just a little bit of moss at the bottom, a little bit of bark, moss and bark, and layer very quickly. Because this is a tiny pot, it's going to be very easy for me to finish my repotting. I could pot it up in a larger pot. I didn't because I was lazy today. I didn't want to clean my pots, first of all, and I don't have any larger pots that's clean at the moment. And since I know that this plant has been struggling to grow a lot, I know that it will not simply take over all the space of this tiny pot from one day to another. So I might be able to make it, let's see, at least stay inside this pot for more than a year. If that happens, I'll be so happy. I would love to see this plant completely recuperated, having roots all over the place, but I don't think it will happen like that. So 1 second. Let me add some slow-release fertilizer. Just a few beads because it's a tiny pot and this plant has no roots. Apart from the tiny roots they're trying to sprout now. And I hopefully this will be the last time that I'm doing that with this plant in the next year or so. I hope these roots will grow inside this pot now that the mix is new and that it will finally bounce back. So let me just complete this last layer of bark and I will come back to conclude the video. So guys, that's my plant fully repotted now, and what I want to show you with this video is that first of all, Phalaenopsis are extremely resilient plants. If I had any other orchid, it would be gone by now because this plant has been through a lot and it has survived. So super happy because it's still hanging there. Secondly, if you leave that roots inside the potting mix and you don't remove them, there is a greater chance that the dead roots can spoil your organic mix, especially if we pot them in organic material. That's what's happening here. The potting mix was completely spoiled because I left the dead roots there for a very long time. So there was nothing else that I could do in this case that was not to remove and fully repotted this plant. If I decided to let it be, there was a greater chance that the roots wouldn't grow inside my pot, that the pH of the pot was a little bit above what is great or what's really good for your orchid. So anyway, there are a few things that could affect how my plant would grow inside the pot. If that happens to you, it would be amazing and advisable to repot your plant just on pot, cut the dead roots and pot it back before you have to do the whole process again, as I had to do in this case. Always check your plant as well if you have time. Check your orchids when you're watering or when you have some free time. And then you can spot maybe some of these kind of things a little bit earlier than I did anyway. But now this plant is fully repotted and I have hope that in the future you see some beautiful Phalaenopsis blooms, that this plant will be fully mature by next year and this pot will be full of roots. Who knows? Fingers crossed. That's it. That was everything that I want to tell you today. If you enjoy this type of content, please hit the like button, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. More than that, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.